Hello and welcome to Churchy Chats with the Church Girl. I'm Alicia Wiley. If this is your first time here, I am the owner and creator of A Church Girl, which is a clothing line and a lifestyle brand that seeks to inspire and uplift everyone we have the privilege of connecting with. As always, I am excited about tonight's episode and our guest for tonight. But before we get into the show, go on and share this broadcast, share it with everybody you know, tag your family, tag your friends, come on in the room and join the conversation. We are airing live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us on all platforms. And of course, you can watch us on your preferred platforms. Okay, I'm excited about tonight's guest, so let's get her in the room. Hello, Havilah. Welcome to Churchy Chats.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Absolutely. Go on and introduce yourself to the Churchy Chats audience.
Certainly. My name is Havilah Malone. I am a #1 best-selling author, motivational speaker, and actress. I am located out of Los Angeles, California, and originally from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yes, and we met. I don't know if you remember this. Keziah Simeon.
Oh my God, yes!
I was working for a brief time. I was working as an insurance agent, and we were in the same office. And she was like, you know what? I know somebody that you really need to meet. Like, you really need to connect with this person, because this is actually the year I started Churchy Chats. This was in 2014, not Churchy Chats, started A Church Girl.
Okay.
So she was like, you know what? You need to connect with Havilah. Y'all need to know each other. And shortly after that, I think you released your book. My mom and I came to the mall and got the book signed. So we have been connected for a while. I am so happy that you are here, and I'm so excited to talk about your journey. So Havilah, as you said, you're an actress, you're an author. The list goes on and on. You're an inspirational speaker. Now you have a magnetic personality. That's no doubt about that.
Thank you.
But tell us, what came first? What did you know, or when did you know, which way you wanted to go as far as your career path?
That's a really good question. Actually, I would say the public speaking came first, because it came from my congregation coming up as a child, where we would actually give like public talks on stage, about Bible principles or about like specific things that we were given assignments on. So I think my public speaking ability came from that foundation. And as I was going through school, I actually decided I wanted to go into the entertainment industry.
Okay.
Actually, first, my goal was to become a lawyer. And yes. Because when I was in high school, I was a part of this junior league program that allowed us to try real cases in court. And I absolutely loved it. And I had a gift for it. And as I was coming to the end of my high school career, deciding what I was going to go and study in college, I was like, okay, I can go to law school, become a lawyer, or I can play one on TV. So I was like, I think I'll go the TV route, because I also, as a kid, like, I love being in front of, like, I'd be in the mirror, like doing broadcast and like, dancing and singing and doing all those like entertainment things. And it was just kind of like, I can have the best of both worlds if I pursue this particular career path. So I actually ended up going to the University of New Orleans. I graduated high school when I was 16, went to the University of New Orleans, studied dramatic arts and communication, minored in psychology, and that started my path in the television world, in the entertainment world, and understanding and learning all aspects of production, from producing, directing, camera, editing, all of those pieces before I ever went on camera.
Wow. So tell me this, Havilah, you said it was the public speaking, and then that kind of led you to wanting to be a lawyer, but then like, oh, maybe not an actress, maybe it. A lot of people in places like New Orleans. Now, we were being called Hollywood South for a minute.
Yeah.
But what would you say to people who are in cities like New Orleans where the opportunities are there, but they're not, you know, widespread, and it's not time to for them to make a move yet? What do you do when you're in a situation that may not be the most conducive, but you still need to pursue your dreams and your goals?
You have to find community. You have to surround yourself with the people who are doing the things that you want to do, or who are at least pursuing that path that you want to pursue as well. Because, first of all, the energy of those minds coming together is going to create something even greater. It's called a mastermind. And then, two, for people who are already in an industry that you want to go into, like, you need mentorship, you need guidance, you need coaching so that you understand how the industry works. And then, because there's so many different aspects to every industry, even if you want to go into law, like, you don't just have to be a lawyer. Like, there are so many other career paths within the realm of the legal system. If you want to go into the entertainment industry, there's so many things you could do, from being a producer, a writer, a director, a cinematographer, an actor, like, so many different things. And so until you give yourself an opportunity to explore it and connect and get the experience, then I think that's like the first step.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because sometimes we feel like our location keeps us from really pursuing our dreams, and we don't always take the time and the opportunity to really just use what is around us. What's fortunate about New Orleans is it is an artsy place,
Yeah.
right? It's so full of art, and that is one of the ways that we basically live and thrive in New Orleans. It's off of artists and creatives. So,
Absolutely. It's like, if you want to be an actor, go get into an acting class. And if you're in a market like New Orleans, there are plenty of very talented teachers, coaches, people who you can connect with to actually get your start. Because, like, you may not start like on a Hollywood stage, like, and it's okay to plant seeds where you are currently grounded, and then allow those seeds to grow. And right now, we live in a digital age where we can create our own content. Like, right now, you have a show that is reaching people around the country, and it was like a brainchild or a passion, that it was like, hey, I have a message and I want to get that out there. And so you had the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to do it. So where there's a will, there's a way.
yes, most certainly. And we're going to go to our first commercial break, but before we do that, I want you to talk about your book. I want you to talk about your book, How to Be a Media Magnet. Am I right about that? Did
How
I
to
get that
become a
right? How
publicity
to become a
magnet.
publicity magnet. And
Yes.
just the name of it. Yes, publicity magnet. When I just heard the title of the book, I was drawn to it. So I want you to talk a little bit about what inspired you to write the book, and just dish. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is actually my very first book that was released. And it came from, I would get the same questions over and over again, because I had a background in media. I had, a background in public speaking. I had a background in getting a lot of, like, media attention for the projects that I would be working on, or the things that I would be creating. And so, and I also had a business background. And so I would have a lot of people who would come to me and ask me, like, the same questions over and over, like, how are you doing it? Like, how is this possible? Like, how can I, do the things that you were doing as well? And so it was very clear to me that I need to be able to share this message to people on a larger scale, because I don't have the ability to talk to everyone, one on one. But it is important that we share whatever gifts we have. It's important that we share whatever insights that we have that have helped us along our journey, that could possibly help somebody else. So, and at this point, I'd never written a book. I didn't even see myself as an author. So, like, writing a book, not Not, and it's funny because now three bestsellers in, and I'm like, no, you're a real author. Like,
Legitimately. Legitimately.
yeah, and I think that's the beauty too of anything that you feel compelled to do, that you want to do, that
Mhm.
you don't have to know how to do it. You have to have a passion for it and feel called to it, because the how can be learned. The
That's a
how can be
word.
figured out.
That is a word.
Hmm.
My God.
Yes, and so the book How to Become a Publicity Magnet is for any business owner, a person with a product, a service, or a message. If
Hmm.
you, as a personal brand, you need to get your information, get your gift out into the world, and how to get very powerful
Hmm.
media outlets to become
Hmm.
interested in you,
Hmm.
and the work that I shared in this book, it
Hmm.
first starts with you, because sometimes we get in our own way and we feel like, you know what, I'm not ready to do that. I'm not good enough to be on a platform like
Absolutely.
that. We stop ourselves before we even give ourselves an opportunity to actually go out there and make an impact. So
Hmm.
it deals with that psychological piece first.
Yes.
And then I give you tools and strategies on how to get in front of media and make yourself
Hmm.
desirable to them, where they're coming after you and you become that magnet because you have so much value to add to their audience.
That's invaluable information for people who are seeking to put themselves out there in this way. So give us a brief synopsis of your other two books, because we want to know what else you have going on. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so one of the other books that this one I co-authored, called The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill. This is
Hmm.
something I'm super proud of, to be able to be a part of the Napoleon Hill legacy. And so
Hmm.
this book actually breaks down the principles of success. So for those of you who are familiar with Think and Grow Rich, which is one of the
Hmm.
top 10 best-selling books of all time, has created more millionaires than any other success philosophy in history. Those principles have now been made available for children for the first time in
Oh,
history.
that is wonderful.
Oh my goodness. I'm just like, what if you knew what you know now when you were a child?
I mean, my goodness.
Like how much further we could be if our
Hmm.
foundation was set with the principles of success that were necessary for us to
Yeah.
truly make a big difference in the world and in our own lives. And so this book, through rhymed children's stories, gives
Hmm.
this next generation the opportunity to get it now, which
That's
I
beautiful.
love. Look.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And there's a scripture that people often use for to mean, if you, well, the scripture is, train a child up in the way that they should go, and when they get older they won't depart from it. Well, a lot of people like to use that scripture to say, if you raise your child a Christian, they'll remain in the Christian way. Well, I guess that can be one of the applications, right?
Right.
But the true interpretation of that scripture means to train your child in the way that you see them naturally going, in their gifts and their talents.
Mm.
So we have to be students of our children, right? And the children around us, to see what it is. If we see they're inclined to music, then that's the way that we help them to go. We help them as we see what their natural gifts are. And while you were talking about that, if a parent, a mentor, a teacher can look at a child and say, I can clearly see what your God-given gift is,
Hmm.
and pair it with something like your book, there's the sky is the limit, right? The sky is not even the limit.
Not
They
even.
can go so far and beyond if they're just given the right tools. So I think that is amazing. Our next generation, that's all we have.
Absolutely. And it's our responsibility to not only follow our passion and purposes and be the example for the next generation, but then also to teach them the lessons that we've learned along the way,
Yes.
and to learn from them too, because they have just as much to teach us
Oh,
as we could
God
teach them.
knows. Yes, and they are fortunate. I feel like our parents' generation in many areas did not have the privilege to really pursue their dreams and their passions the way that we have it. But I think some of us started a little bit late because I'm not blaming our parents at all because their mindset, the way they were raised was totally different. The world was totally
Absolutely.
different, right? But I think as I'm a old millennial. So I
Me
rejected that
too.
for a while. I was like, I'm not a millennial. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I am according to the dates. But I'm an
Right.
older millennial. So we were kind of taught go to school, get a job, get married, have a family,
The
dream
American
far,
dream.
exactly. And while my parents, our parents were, they had a part of the spill, and I'm saying the spill that never really happened, that unspoken spill that
Hmm.
was, pursue your dreams and do whatever it is that you feel in your heart to do. But I think we jumped on that a little bit late. But the generation coming up behind us, I mean, it's amazing how they have grasped at such a young age what their passion is. And they are, I mean, it's amazing to watch. It's beautiful, beautiful to watch. And like you said, we have so much to learn from them because they truly throw caution to the wind and they do what is in their hearts to do. And it's just beautiful to
Gorgeous.
see. It is.
And talk about getting on the bandwagon of that, like truly becoming in alignment with oneself later on in life. And I think it's like a perfect segue to the latest book that I actually released, which is called Rewriting a New History, A
Okay.
Spiritual Path to Audacious Authenticity and Healing.
Yes.
And because we get a blueprint for life from our family, from our religious leaders, from our schools, from our communities, and it's kind of like, oh, this is the path that you should follow. However, that may not necessarily be the path for you. And
Yes.
so you having to go back within and understand that you have an internal guidance system, that you have information that comes through you, not from exterior sources, but through you, through that divine source, through God or universe or whatever it is that you want to call that higher power. But you have connection to that yourself. And when you learn to start truly listening to that and following that guidance, it
Yes.
opens up a world of fulfillment and happiness and purpose and passion that somebody else trying to tell you what you should be doing or how you should be living your life or how you should show up in the world will never give you that which you have been called to yourself.
Absolutely. 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 And just to
Hmm.
plant those seeds, whether somebody is young, whether they're old, it doesn't matter. When you realize that you have that power within yourself, that changes the game. It really doesn't matter where you are in life. We think about age and missed opportunities, but, I firmly believe that God can redeem the time.
Oh
He can
yes.
make up, for what we feel like. I can't believe I'm getting emotional right now. For what we feel like we've lost.
Amen.
And
Amen.
yes, so
And it's
it's
never, ever, ever too late. As long as you have breath in your lungs, that
yes,
you are still here, it is still your opportunity to have, do, and be everything that has been put
yes,
onto your heart. And there's been example after example after example, and story after story after story. And it's what we focus on that we bring and make a reality. So if you focus on what's not there or the possibility of it not happening, then that's what you bring into manifestation. That's what you
absolutely,
bring into reality. But if you
yes,
start to truly look at the world as it's a friendly universe that is conspiring to give me everything that I want, I just have to be open to the guidance. I got to be
yes,
open to the nudges that are leading me on my path and honor
absolutely,
that. And you can have anything.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm having such a wonderful time in this conversation. we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we want to go into chatting with you about your actress journey, because that is something that most people feel that it's unreachable. But I've watched you from guest appearances to some other things. So right after the commercial break, we're going to get all into your journey as an actress. We'll be right back.
Feeling good, feeling lovely, hey. Feeling more joy on the way, hey. It's written all over your face. It's a whole mood celebrate. Feeling so fly with the vibes on high. Feeling alright when you walk in the light. Ain't lifestyle like a morning.
Welcome back to Churchy Chats. We are here with our guest for the evening, Havilah Malone, who I think was jamming on our commercial right there. I am so excited to have Havilah tonight. We have been having a rich and wonderful conversation. So if you're just tuning in, go on and share this broadcast and join the conversation. Right before we get into that, Havilah, your name has biblical meaning. Tell us what your name means before we get started on the whole actress journey.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful for the blessing of my name into my life. So Havilah, it comes from Genesis 2:11, and it is a land of gold in the Garden of Eden.
Wow.
And so it goes, the scripture goes, the first one's name is Pishon, which is the river encircling the entire land of Havilah, a land where there's gold, and the gold of that land is good. And like, I embrace that as I am a land of gold, and I have so much to be able to offer into the world, and all the things that have been put into me from birth throughout my life experiences are all the gold that I have to offer to the world. And so I'm grateful for my parents listening to my nanny who gave them the suggestion of the name, and making that my reality.
Yes, just gold. You're gold. That's just you have so much to offer to the world, and I think that's so beautiful. So I wanted to get that out there because I knew you had a very beautiful story behind your name. So I wanted to get that out there before we went any further. So I remember, I don't know, you'll have to tell me what your first appearance was, but I do remember you on NCIS New Orleans, yes, as a police officer. I remember that. Then you were all of a sudden, now this was pandemic time. I think I started to see you popping up, on my Facebook feed for different little commercials and stuff. I was like, come on. And then I was watching People Puzzler. And I was like, well, I mean, you better work. You better work. So just tell us, like, how did it all come about? And I know you said you figured out kind of earlier on that you wanted to be an actress, but how did you actually get in that door?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's been such a journey, because even though it was placed onto my heart that this is the path that I wanted to take very early on, I have gone down many different paths along my career journey, along my life journey. I mean, I worked in corporate America for nearly a decade. I worked in news, like I worked at Fox, and there's been so many doors of opportunity that have taken me on several different paths, and even going into business for myself and becoming a motivational speaker and things of that nature. And it was in 2019 that I had just finished a project with Goldcast. And so Goldcast is like a motivational online platform that has featured like Oprah Winfrey and Les Brown and like people who I admire, their journeys. And it was like I had the privilege of being featured on that platform, and the video that they featured was a public speech that I did about following your childhood dreams. And the video went viral. There was like over 1 million views, and people were like writing in talking about how it inspired them to go after some of their hidden childhood dreams. Because a lot of times there's things that we want to do that we kind of push it under the table, because it's like, when do I have time for that? And am I good enough for that? And, I'm getting too old for that. And all the excuses that we tell ourselves. And it became very clear to me that it was like, Havilah, you're preaching a message to people and helping inspire people. However, there's things that you have as childhood dreams that you have not fully pursued yet.
Wow.
And so it's like you have to also be living in harmony with the things that you are putting out there into the world. And I was like, I promised that high school self of mine that, hey, you didn't go to law school, but you were going to play a lawyer on TV.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that you haven't done. Like, you've played doctors, you've played police officers, you've played like all of these things, but you've never played a lawyer yet. And this is the path that you chose to go down instead of becoming a lawyer. so it was like, okay, yes, you've had this extraordinary career and it's brought you in different directions, but now it's time to give some energy and focus to be like becoming an actress on a whole nother level and getting this role as a lawyer on a television show. And so it was May 6th of 2019 that this like revelation, this epiphany like came to me, and I made a decision on that day that I was going to more fully pursue my television career and I was going to move to LA.
Wow.
And I literally reached out to one of my old acting coaches from LA and I asked her, I said, when is your next intensive or when is your next like course going to begin? And so she told me it was going to be it was June 26th of 2019. And so I said, okay, no, June 28th of 2019 is when it was going to start. So I said, okay, cool. By June 26th, I'll be out there. Now, I had no plan, like no, prospects out in Hollywood, like nothing, but it was just like I made a decision and there's power, and because to decide means to cut, which means you cut off all other options. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. I've always wanted to live in LA. I've always wanted to be out there. I actually wanted to go to UCLA for college, but because I started college when I was 16, my parents were like, no, ma'am. You're not bringing your young, naive self halfway across this country by it. Like, no. Find something local.
Exactly.
And so I literally, I did a farewell tour in Louisiana. So I set up, quite a few like public speaking events and media. I did a media tour and I said goodbye. And I had just finished my reign as Miss Louisiana Universal because I was 2018. So I had just finished my reigning years as queen. And I was like, I'm going to LA. And by June 26th, I was there in LA. And I started with trying to build community, building a network. And I created a spreadsheet, like how nerdy I am. I created a spreadsheet of like, I went on like meetup.com, I went on Eventbrite, and I found all of the industry events that were relevant to like the communities that I wanted to connect with. I found organizations that I was already associated with in Louisiana. Like I was on I was education chair for the Louisiana Diversity Council. So I was like, there's a sister organization in California. Let me also go and give. Let me go. And because by giving, you will create an amazing community of people that you will be able to surround yourself with. I was a part of WIFT, which is Women in Film and Television Louisiana. So I was like, there's a sister organization in LA, like Women in Film in LA. So it was all about how can I build community? How can I give? And then step into the things that I want to step into. And so I am very proud to say that I am actually a part of season 5 of HBO's Insecure, and I play a lawyer on the show.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I love Insecure. I love it. Oh, congratulations, Havilah. That is amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
One of the questions that I actually had for you was, how do you know when it's time to make a move? Or, we're often told so many rules, right? There are so many rules to how you're supposed to do everything. And some of us sometimes feel like, well, I need to get established here first and then I'll go. Well, I know that may be the truth for some people, but although you did have, some things going on in Louisiana, it wasn't really a career point. It was just a time where you felt compelled to make that decision.
It came from, for me, um, and here's the thing, that internal guidance system is always talking to you. And so sometimes we get an intuitive nudge or a thought comes to us and it's like, you should do this, you should do that. And when we don't listen to it, then it starts to come in the way of pain or discomfort. And when you start to feel like, man, something is off, like I'm not feeling settled anymore, I'm not feeling in a groove anymore, what is off? It's usually because you've ignored the signs of when it was time to make a shift and change. And so for me, when I start to get those intuitive flashes of, okay, Havilah, now it's time to shift into this gear, now it's time to make this move, then I write this down like into a journal and I write it down. And I'm like, if it keeps coming to me and I keep like writing down the same thing over and over again, I'm like, this is a clear sign that this is something I need to take action on. Because I know from past experience, when I don't, I get like, I go into that discomfort, I go into that pain. So, and then it gets to the point where it's like, I have to do this. If not, like, I'm going to go insane.
I'm going to go crazy.
And so like recently, I just went through this cycle again, just recently, where I was, because I had already known, because I have my life vision. I'm already very clear about just about all the things that I want to accomplish in my lifespan. And some things that are years off because they're very big things, and some things that are more, you know, like, hey, more immediate things that I want to accomplish. And one of the things that was on my list and has been on my list for years is to host and produce a television docuseries. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, that could be like further down on the list. That could be lower on the list. Like, that's fine. I'll get to it one day. But recently, in the last few months, like, that voice has been like coming. That voice has been like talking to me, and I'm just like, okay, but not yet. I'm not ready yet. Like, I'm focused on this. And then it came to a place of pain, and it was just like, okay, Havilah, it's time for you to make a move on this. It's time for you to give it energy. It's time for you to start to figure out how to develop this, because you don't necessarily know how to go about doing this, but you're going to figure it out like you figured out everything else, by building community around it, by getting mentors, by getting coaches, by like doing the work to do the research to figure it out and allow that guidance to push you forward, and it will be successful.
That's amazing advice, you know, because often we do feel a nudge or we feel a push, and because we feel like, simply because, as you said, we feel like we're just not ready or that we're not good enough, and we just push it off. And then, like you said, you get to the point of pain and it's like, I can't do anything, right? At that point, it almost feels like the other things that you try to do won't even succeed, won't even prosper, because you're not, it never said you had to let that down, but you still need to be doing this other thing.
Yes.
Because your mind, your spirit, your body, everything reacts to what you are doing, literally, you know, and how we live our lives and how we respond to that nudge. You know, it's just the human body and the way we are made up is really amazing when you think about it, because it all works together to push us to our purpose.
Oh, that mind, body, spirit connection is undeniable. And it's like, it will hit us on different levels. It'll hit you in your body where you can actually feel physical pain when you are not following or pursuing your purpose or something that's been put onto your heart. You will feel discomfort in your spirit. And it's kind of like, man, something feels so off. Why am I not feeling grounded and settled in a place of peace? Like, my peace is being disturbed because I'm not in alignment with what I'm being guided to do, that is truly my purpose. And quite frankly, because I think we have been, at least me, I'll give my own example. I was kind of brought up with this, like, there's this one thing, like you do this, like this one thing, and you like figure out what that is, and you go for it.
Stay in your lane, that whole message, right?
There's so many more things that we have that is within us to be able to develop, create, participate in, experience in life. It's not about one thing. And so, yes, it's about maybe pursuing that one thing fully at a particular time, but we have multitude of gifts. Like if somebody told me, Havilah, you could only do one, like if you couldn't, like if you had to be a motivational speaker or an actress or a writer, or I would go insane. Like because there will be a part of myself that will be unfulfilled. But now each thing has to have its time and its focus to be able to develop and make it successful. So yeah, I may not be able to do all of it at one time,
right?
But I get to do all of it. Like that's my right.
Yes. And while you were talking about that, I thought about the example of just like being on a road trip, right? So there are usually 3, maybe 2 lanes, on the highway. And as you're driving, you go in and out, of different lanes. Sometimes you take an exit, to get gas, to refuel, and then you get right back on that same path. But the whole way, your speed, it increases and then it decreases, and then you're in and out of each lane. It's just your journey to get to your destination. So, our lives are a journey. And to tell me that I can only travel in one lane doesn't even make sense in the physical. Right? So how can it make sense in the, the grand scheme of things, and purpose and in life? That's been pounded into our heads, at least our generation. I can't speak for the ones coming up because they are killing the game, okay?
Right.
They're not letting anybody tell them.
They're like, does this bring me joy? If not, I'm not doing it.
Like, I tried it, I hate it, I'm done. I tried it, I love it, I'm going forward, but I think I love this too, so I'm going to try that. They have such a freedom, which I admire. But now that you are seeing the manifestation, you are seeing the dream come alive, we're seeing it through you. How does that feel? How does it feel? You've been doing this for a long time.
It feels extraordinary to know that you can go from a thought to voicing what your goal, what your dream, what your desire is, to actually physically living the life that you have desired. I literally had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and I was like, I am in such gratitude right now and just humbled, because I remember walking along the lake in Kenner, Louisiana, and having these like walking meditations and just dreaming about, thinking about all these things that I wanted to do, all these projects that I wanted to be a part of, eventually one day living in Los Angeles. And I'm like, I am here now living this life that I dreamed about. And I'm like, have there been ups and downs? Heck yes. I don't even want to like fool you into believing like, oh, it was all just like magic.
Right.
No, like I've had some crappy experiences and I've had some extraordinary experiences. Sure. But it all, when you look at the totality of the journey so far, it is mind-blowingly amazing. And it's only going to get better, because even the challenges that we face, they're learning opportunities. They're refining opportunities to give you even more clarity about what you want and what you don't want. Like I went into this one opportunity to be a casting director because I was just like, hey, why not be on the other side of the coin as well? Like, yes, like you get casted in projects, but you can also, learn that side of the industry. And it was a rough experience for me. And it was just kind of like, you know what? I like this from an experiential journey, but this ain't me. Like this is not me. But I wouldn't know that unless I actually had the opportunity to have the experience. So it was, and I literally manifested that job. I manifested that opportunity, and I was so clear, and it all aligned, and I got it, and it was like, dang, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Because you could definitely get it. Right. Yes. But even in it, like being able to step back from that experience, it was like I learned so much and got so much clarity as to like what I did want and what I didn't want. And it was like, okay, cool. I can take this learning with me. I can hold it as a pain point, or I can take this learning with me and use it as fuel to go after the things that I do want.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the best advice. You know, I have always been the type of person that's not afraid to fail at something. I'm like, listen, I fail pretty well. And by that, I mean, it's just I'm not afraid to try it. Amen. And I'll be like, child, that was not it. But I'm not afraid to sometimes answer the nudge. What seems like the nudge to do that thing, but in all reality, it's the nudge of the lesson. It's the lesson that you're going to learn through that experience that's nudging you. Right? So I look at life like, listen, if we don't know, if we don't try, we don't know. So try it. If we don't like it, then child, be through with it.
When people tell you life is a journey and it's not about the destination, let me tell you something that is the truth. It is the truth. It is the truth. The goal or the thing that you're like, okay, I want to win an Emmy Award. Cool. But what that is saying is I need to become the person who can win an Emmy Award. I have to contribute enough value, connect with the right individuals and organizations, create the right project that could win an Emmy Award. So it's about who you become on the journey to that thing. And that's what's the most important part. Because once you get the Emmy Award, guess what? You're going to go on and want something else. Like one of my goals, and I told you, like, I know my larger life vision is to be a Nobel Prize winner. Yeah. The version of me that exists today has to continue to grow and change and contribute in bigger ways to be worthy of being a Nobel Prize winner. So the person who I become on the journey to getting to that goal, that's the important part. Yes. And then I'll get the goal, and then it'll be amazing, but then I want something else.
To be on to the next. Exactly. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. You know, we should never get to something and then stop there. And most of the time, life doesn't allow us to stop there because we think we want to stop there. But then we get there and realize, okay,
there's more.
The next thing, you know, I want to do something else. I want to do more. So that's so important to take our life experiences and use them as building blocks. To build, like you said, to build the person who is worthy of what we truly desire.
Yes, because your vision will continue to expand because there's no limit to your potential. None.
Yes, yes, yes. And people often say in the church, enlarge my territory.
Well, that's the Jabaz prayer. Give it to me. Look.
You know what I'm saying? That has to start in the mind. You know, we have to be able to enlarge our vision, and our minds have to open up. And I often ask God to open my eyes of understanding, right? So that I can not just know what I want to do, but understand how to do it and how to do it for His glory, right? So it's such an amazing journey, this life, and how we put these pieces together. I mean, of course, I don't know what it's like on the other side of this life, but I can speak to the fact that this life gives us so much. Yeah. And that includes pain, that includes pleasure, that includes desires, that includes the things that we have to do that we don't want to do. But just as we were speaking about, you know, those are the building blocks that makes us who we are, and that in turn makes us worthy of what we desire.
Yeah, and it's too, it's like it's the laws of the universe. Like there's the law of polarity. Just as far as there's pain and discomfort and tragedy, there's also extraordinary experiences and love and immense joy that could be experienced. And then it's all relative. Like it's a law of relativity. So it's kind of like if I've experienced traumatic situations, it makes the loving, beautiful situations even better. Even better. So it's like it's all a part of a cycle that life gives us all of these experiences to be able to have. And when it's not about, like you said, it's like that cross country road trip. It's not about getting stuck in any one place. It's about being able to take the lessons from each of the stops along our journey and allowing that to grow us and expand us and our capacity to love.
Yes. Yes. And as you were saying that, I thought about the Bible scripture. I can't tell you exactly where to find it, and I'm paraphrasing, but it talks about the joy not even comparing to the suffering. Like the joy is so much greater than the suffering. You know, it pales in comparison. So even when you're going through that thing, just know that on the other side, there's a joy that is so big and so bright that the suffering is just, it's just a drop in the bucket compared to the ocean of joy
That's
and
available.
compare a drop in a bucket or even a bathtub full of water to a huge body of water. Why? Because it can't be compared. It's not worthy to be compared. Your joy is on the other side. If you just truly believe,
Keep going.
keep going. You have to travel through it. Don't get stuck in it.
Yes. And that's why I was like, the number one thing I would just encourage people to do is to surround yourself with like-minded people who will support you and encourage you through the journey, because you're going to hit the pits, you're going to hit the tough times, and it's about not stopping there or getting caught up in like mass consciousness that could be very negative, but being able to hold a positive view of, yes, I'm in this right now, yes, this sucks right now, but this is not the end. This is not the end of my story. This is not the end of my journey. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep feeding my mind, feeding my soul, feeding my spirit with that which is in the direction I want to go, that is positive, that is upbuilding. And I'm going to keep taking a step every day. One more step every day. One more step every day. And guess what? I'm going to look back and I'll be like, whoa, I'm there.
Yeah, sometimes you have to look back to see how far you've come. You know, we feel like I haven't gone anywhere, I haven't done anything, but every now and then it's good to look back and see exactly how far you've come. And you know, even if it's not that far, you're still not where you were. So even if you feel like it's 5 steps and, you know, we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, well, you're still up 1.
Yes.
You know, so we have to look at it in a way that we embrace the journey. And we're going to take one more commercial break. And when we come back, you mentioned that you made a transition 6 months, well, maybe about 8 months before a global pandemic hit. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that was like and see where the conversation takes us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back with our wonderful guest this evening, Havilah Malone. And I said this when we came back from the first commercial break, but we are truly having a wonderful conversation. And although we are about to wrap up, if you're just now tuning in, still share it, still jump in and join the conversation. I'm sure something will bless you, something will inspire you. So in the last segment, we talked about your move to LA, and you said it was around June of 2019. Well, in March of 2020, here comes a global pandemic. So can you just talk to us a little bit about making a move and then shortly after something like this happening, how did that feel? Did at any point you felt like, did you feel like maybe this wasn't the right time? Or were you just so sure in your decision that you were like, well, let's roll with it?
Amen. I was so committed to the decision that I made and the new foundation that I was building, that it was like, this is my life. Like, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing, and we just continue to move forward. And I definitely want to say this for all of the families who have been affected in a negative way from this, global pandemic, for those who have suffered, that my heart goes out, that my prayers go out, and that you find something that is good that comes out of it for you. I do believe that everything that happens in life has both sides of the equation to it. Could be challenges in it, and there's also opportunity in it as well. And so I choose to focus on the opportunity. And so even when the pandemic first hit, it was a blessing for me in a sort of way, because I had been like moving so fast and had become so busy that I wasn't like taking proper rest. I wasn't like doing the things that I needed to do for my own self-care. And so it was like the world was like, sit down.
Right, the whole world.
Right, exactly. Like, sit down. And so it was like the first, I think, like 2 weeks of it, as we went into like lockdown, I slept and I just rested and was able to just kind of like reset. And then I think the next 2 weeks, I caught up on every series on television because I was like, I have no time to watch TV. Like, now you got nothing but time to do whatever you want to do. And then I think going into like the next phase of it, I was like, okay, Havilah, now you have to find a way to like add or contribute to like the world. Like, you can't just like sit here and vegetate. Like, this is not going to work.
It's nice, but you got to move on.
Exactly, because our industry was trying to figure out like, how do we even maneuver and operate? So things had slowed down as far as productions. A lot of production had been put on hold, until we just understood what was going on and kind of how to operate in this whole new, way of living. And so, and I also felt like it was a sign from the universe, because it was like, you have a book in you that needs to be birthed. Your excuse has been that you haven't had the time to do it. Now I'm giving you nothing but time to actually manifest this book. And so during the pandemic is when this book actually came into existence.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because it was like, there's a global pause going on right now, so you can devote your time and energy to actually like writing this book and getting that message out there into the world that needs to be put out into the world. And so that our industry or some of our clients figured out a way to be able to maneuver. So we went from on location shoots to remote shoots. So I basically became my own production company and was like shooting from at home or on location, wherever I was, and work continued to go. So I was really blessed in that way, that because content was still needed, like information was still needed for consumers to take in, especially because people were at home doing nothing but consuming content, at that time. So it opened up new doors of opportunity. But I think what was the biggest part for me was that my mindset was already looking for, where's the opportunity in this situation? Like, I wasn't looking at it in the, oh my God, like the world is falling apart, and now that means my life is falling apart. That means that, things can't happen. It was just like, no, there's opportunity here. Where is it? Let's find it and let's focus on that. And so I think that's what ended up manifesting into my life, which I'm like super grateful for.
Yes. And that's wonderful. The thing about COVID that helped a lot of people is, since everything was shut down, since everybody was on pause, we didn't have fear of missing out.
Oh
right?
my God,
When the
no.
world is functioning normally, even if we know we need to rest, we could have had surgery or we could be sick or whatever, like, and we literally have to rest, but we still feel as though we are missing out. That was completely taken away because, listen, everybody's missing out. So it was such a level playing field, and it gave some of us peace in a way to be able to sit with ourselves, to be able to rest, to be able to do the things that we needed to do without fear that something was
Yeah.
going, to pass us by. So that is one of the blessings of COVID-19. I mean, that sentence even sounds crazy, but
Absolutely, but even
there
to be able to
were,
reevaluate like what's most important to you, because
yes.
sometimes you get on a hamster wheel of just like doing, but you're not even like really thinking through, why am I doing this? Is this really bringing me joy? Or am I just doing this because I'm on this train and this train is moving. So it's like the train stopped during COVID, and then you were like, do I still even want to be on this train, or do I want to
Right.
go
I want
like
to jump trains.
exactly?
And life gave you the opportunity to slow down enough for you to do that, which is
Yeah.
always a blessing, no matter how it happens, even if it's by means of a global pandemic. So, Havilah, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight, because this whole conversation has just been so rich. I know that it's going to be a blessing and an inspiration for people. And right before we go, I want you to just kind of talk about the business that you're in comes with a lot of disappointments. There's a lot of striving, there's a lot of putting yourself out there, and there's a version of that in each one of our lives. It may not be auditions, it may not be, getting in front of a group of people for them to tell you I hate your performance, but there's a level of it, in all of our lives. So if you could just tell us what keeps you inspired despite the disappointments, and how we can take that and make that our own. And right when you finish that, go on and tell everybody how to find you on social, how they can purchase your books, and all of that good stuff.
Yes, I think that's such a profoundly important question, because we're always going to face rejection, disappointment, things not quite aligning the way that we imagined or envisioned them. Yes, there's been many of projects that I have like done the audition for, gotten a call back for, got put on a veil for, and then it was like, what happened?
Never mind.
Right. It's like what like this is dang near done deal. Like what happened?
Right.
And so I think mindset is like so critical, and you have to build your mindset by what you feed yourself on a consistent basis. So I actually have with me, so my Wonder Woman notebook
Come on.
is actually filled with affirmations. So this is like the oath of manifestation that I go through on a daily basis. This is the optimist creed that I go through on a daily basis. This is the self-confidence formula from Thinking Grow Rich that I use on a daily basis. And so I start my day with feeding my mind with the information, with the perspective that I want to infiltrate everything that I do in the rest of my day, and therefore life. So I have a very different belief system that I have cultivated over years of self-development and years of reprogramming myself, because I used to be very like facing rejection was like very hard, but I don't even view it like when I don't get a role or something, it's like, okay, that wasn't for me, that was for whoever got it, but then what's
Right.
for me, you can't take that away from me. Like that it's mine. And so it
Sure.
may not be coming in this next audition, it may not be coming in that following audition, but it's coming. And so like that doesn't even become a issue or a factor when things don't necessarily like pan out. It's kind of like, okay, cool, that just means there's a
Right.
bigger door waiting for me. Well, dang,
Yes.
if it's even bigger than that I was just auditioning
Let's
for,
go.
then let's make this happen. And then
Yes.
when situations happen that are even bigger in my life, or I do feel the pain of like, ooh, like that didn't go the way that I wanted to, or I don't like this, how it's showing up in my life, I have a network of people that have that same like-minded spirit, who are on that same path of self-development, that I can reach out to for support, that I reach out to for like perspective, like just talk me off this edge, because I'm literally on the edge right now.
Yes.
So I need you to help me like reframe this situation so that I see it in a more positive, progressive way. Or sometimes I just need to complain. Like, just let me get it out. Let me move through this emotion and get it out of myself. But then I'm not going to sit in that. I'm not going to let that become a pervasive thing that day after day and month after month. And, let me get it out and then move on.
Yes.
But that comes from training my mind, like the muscle that it is, to see things in that way. And I also participate in mastermind groups, like where we study material. We study Think and Grow Rich. Right now I'm in a mastermind group where we're studying the book Calling in the One, because I am opening myself to love. So yes, exactly. And so it's like, I got to do the self-work to actually like let the walls down and to allow that, part of my life to flourish. And so I'm willing to do the work and surround myself with people who will support that process. So I think your community and what you feed yourself on a daily basis will literally change the trajectory of your life, period. And for those of you who are looking to connect with me or to follow my work, I am available on all social media. So at Havilah Malone, that's HavilahMalone, or you can go to my website at havilahmalone.com, and or even email me at ask@havilahmalone.com, because I love being able to connect with people. But definitely follow me on IG, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's stay connected.
Thank you, Havilah, again for being here tonight. As I said, this conversation has been so rich, and I know that people who are tuning in tonight are going to be changed. I know that. I feel that in my heart and in my spirit. So I appreciate you being here on Churchy Chats tonight, and I'm going to go on and invite you back now, because I know you busy. I know you out there blowing up and manifesting all of that good stuff. But, on Churchy Chats, we also like to, chat it up about current events and stuff. So we would love to have you back on one of our panel shows. But this time, I just wanted to get you here to tell your story, because I know how much of an inspiration you are to everyone. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for making your journey public and allowing people to take that journey with you, but also giving people the inspiration and the power they need to take their own journey. That is such a powerful golden gift that you have. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. Like, it's soul enriching for me as well to be able to have these conversations. And I remember, and I'll just share this. It was the executive director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. She had told me, she's like, anything you want to keep, you must share. Anything you want to keep, you got to share it.
That's so good. That's so good. Thank you for your nuggets, Havilah. Thank you for being here tonight. And again, we're going to have you back on and soon.
Yay. Okay, sounds good.
Yes, thank you so much. Everyone, we hope you have enjoyed tonight's episode of Churchy Chats. Even if you're just catching us, I know we're going off. Go back, watch the replay. If you know somebody who needs to hear the messages, the nuggets, the information that was given out tonight, please share this broadcast with them so that they can get exactly what they need. That is what Churchy Chats is here for. It's here to inspire and uplift everyone we have the privilege of connecting with. I'm so grateful for you tonight and every night that you tune in. And we will be back, same place, same time, next week on Churchy Chats with the Church Girl. Good night.